Hello, everybody. My name is Diego Espinosa, and I am the assistant manager here at MediaLex Radio. And you are listening to MediaLex Radio, WLXU 93.9 FM in Lexington, Kentucky. And I am here once more with Jennifer Reynolds, who is council member for the District 11 in Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for being with us again.
Of course. How are you today?
I'm great. Let's start then with what the council's been doing. What would you like to talk to us about?
I would love to talk about several different issues. The first thing I'm just going to briefly touch on, not something that the council did actually, but something that Civic Lex has been working on with their civic assembly. They gathered 36 people from around Lexington to represent a cross-section of our residents to work on two issues related to our city charter. Our charter is kind of like the council's book of rules. It says what we can and cannot do. And after a survey to survey the broader Lexington, they decided to look at two different issues: council compensation and the charter review, and how often should we have our charter reviewed. And they worked on this for several weeks, the 36 people. They broke into groups. They looked at issues supporting, changing the charter review, changing the council compensation. They looked at issues against those things. They weighed the pros and cons. They talked to council members. They talked to subject matter experts. And then they came up with their own way to deliberate. And they deliberated, and they made several suggestions that are going to go on to the full council. So typically, we don't make the actual suggestions. The suggestions come to us from an outside group, thus why this group was formed. So the first thing that they recommended is to increase council member compensation to the annual average wage in Lexington, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So every year, council would receive the average wage. So for this year, it would be $59,987. But they did not suggest that it go into effect on passage. They suggest that after it is approved by voters, it would be implemented in 2031. So that's 3 2-year cycles of people being on council. So that is not going to go into effect right away if it were to pass. The next is the charter review. They recommended that it be reviewed every 8 years with a time limit and public input requirement. And they said that a commission of 36 residents would be selected by a lottery to help do that charter review. The third thing that they suggested, in addition to these items that they were looking at, was an advanced recommendation to mandate that the council creates a publicly viewable attendance and accountability expectations. This would be a change to the charter, and that would have to be approved by voters. Currently, we take attendance. There is not a penalty or anything for missing meetings, but we're expected to be there. If we're not there, we have to send a notice to our colleagues that we're not going to be there, an official notice. I have only seen there be an issue with attendance a few times. I know this is just I'm just inserting my personal opinion at this point. But one year that I think it was the year before last, they said that I had, 10, missing meetings throughout the year. I had mono, and I had been really sick, and I had to miss several meetings. And then last year, my dad passed away. I was at all the meetings, but for a few weeks, I missed meetings because my father passed and I was grieving. So I think There's folks that might miss meetings for other reasons, but I can say I had good attendance until those two instances. So sometimes there's other things to look at, but I do know we as a council had talked about something similar. So now what happens is those things are going to come before the council. And the council will vote whether to place these changes on the ballot in November for voters or not. We did say as a council that we would support whatever the recommendations are and the process that Civic Lex put forward. But ultimately, we vote whether they go on the ballot. And then these things do not become a reality unless, in addition to going on the ballot, the public votes for them. So it's a whole process.
And so, yes, so I just be aware that you're going to be voting on these issues in the primaries in November.
Not the primaries,
the generals.
The general, yeah. See, if the council votes in the next few months to put them on the ballot, then they will show up for the general election in November.
In November, correct.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was very interesting. I really wanted to ask about this issue with Haley Pike and the solar project.
Right. So we have two separate solar things happening at once. And the first one I'll talk about is the Haley Pike solar proposal. We had Edelin Renewables approach us about putting solar on our Haley Pike landfill and some surrounding land to that. And so we did put off the vote several times to try to make sure that the agreement was the way that we thought it should be. And we did approve the lease agreement on March 26th to move forward. And when we did that, Edelin Renewables said over and over that they were under a timeline to be able to get incentives from the federal government. And, this lease is for about 357 acres. It was just a big decision, and we wanted to make sure that we were doing everything we could. That did pass. There were 3 council members that voted no, and then the rest that were present, 10 voted yes. We did not take it lightly. It was a hard thing to do. The Lexington Model Airplane Club made it very clear of their opinion. They have been operating at the landfill area for 20 years with a $1 lease. So they are basically getting that property for free, and then they've been able to use it. They're a really great group of people. They use model airplanes, some of them very large. They have a runway there. They have a pavilion there. They have put money into it. But unfortunately, we were not able to come to an agreement that they could coexist with the solar. They were hoping they could keep, their about 50-something acres and that they could coexist. Insurance doesn't want model airplanes flying over solar. That particular space where their club is needed for the project, and we just couldn't find a way to make it work. So our CAO is committed to continuing to look for a place for them and to try to help them any way that we can. We were not quickly able to find a park where they could go. And it is unfortunate. These are 2 great groups and 2 great projects. And I wish that there was a way that they could coexist. And I'm hopeful that our CAO will help them find another place so that they can continue on in Lexington.
I see. Yeah, I was asking about this because I was aware that there was quite a bit of time of public comment that came from them.
Correct. So we were there from 6 p.m. At that meeting until after 9:30. There were a lot of people signed up, I think maybe 50, and then some of them yielded their time to other people. So most of the people that spoke had 9 minutes to speak. And then we actually had 8 public commenters on a different issue at the end of the meeting. So yes, we had a lot of folks turn out. One room was full of supporters of the Lexington Model Airplane Club. Another room outside of the chamber was full of union workers supporting the solar. So it was people were out and letting us know what they think, and we do appreciate it when folks do that.
Yeah, of course, and it's really nice to have so much input from the residents.
Yes, I wish there was always a way to find an ideal solution. Sometimes there's not a solution, or sometimes the solution isn't what we first thought, but I'm hopeful that we'll continue to be able to find one.
Yeah, and the decision has to be made anyways at the end.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, then what else would you like to talk to us about?
Well, there is a solar work group that made some recommendations to the General Government and Planning Committee the Environmental Quality and Public Works Committee about solar and ag in ag areas, recommending some solar and ag areas, as well as other recommendations of how solar should be treated when it goes in. So they made those recommendations, and it was not unanimous, but it did pass. And so now their recommendations are going to go to the Planning Commission, and they will be also reviewed by the Rural Land Management Board and other boards. And then they'll come back with what their comments are on those recommendations before they go to us again. And there's still just a lot of debate on what solar should look like, and if it should be, how it should be handled, if it should be on ag land, if it is, how. So we'll get comments back from those groups and from the Planning Commission about the proposal that the work group came up with. And then I wanted to mention a new initiative called Lex Ride. So this was something that I participated in, and Lex Ride really connects key destinations in Lexington, including downtown, the Distillery District, the Warehouse Block, National Avenue area, and makes it easier to explore without worrying about parking, traffic, multiple ride-share trips. The new service is made possible through some really great partners. I'm so happy that we have them. So obviously LexTran, the City of Lexington, the Fund for Greater Lexington, Visit Lex, Lex Park, and the Downtown Lexington Partnership to bring Lex Ride to life. The service will run from 4 p.m. to midnight, and that will be Thursday through Saturday, and riders can expect buses every 12 to 15 minutes. Lex Ride will be able to be tracked in real time through the My Stop mobile app, just like other LexTran routes. So this is a new circulator launching on April 2nd, and it's designed to move between our two most popular entertainment districts. So I'm hoping that folks will really take advantage of this. It really increases our connectivity and supports local business and tourism. I think that at a cost of $1 each way, it's something accessible to everybody. And like I mentioned, it's 2 different downtown loops. So that is important to look at on the map. And I suggest going to lexington.com/LexRide, and you can see the maps and you can see the 2 different routes. And I think that this is going to be key for Lexington. I've seen it in other cities and how helpful that it's been in other cities. And I think that this could really be something that elevates Lexington a lot and helps folks get around. I do think it's going to take all of us to promote it and use it to make sure that it's sustainable, as this is a pilot project.
Correct. This is supposed to end in October at some point.
Right. So this goes April through October. And so there's going to be a black line, and that's the warehouse loop. And then there's going to be a distillery district loop, and that's blue.
And they both meet downtown.
Yes. Yep. They both on Upper is where they meet.
Hmm. Yeah, I will certainly take advantage of this. And I also know that these buses are able to take contactless payment with your phone.
Yes, they will be able to take several different types of payment.
Yeah, you can pay by credit card, debit card, your phone, or cash.
Right. So that's a lot of options.
Yes, it's very convenient. And I really wish that the regular transit would do the same.
Yeah, I think that's a conversation to have with LexTran. Sometimes people think that the city is in charge of LexTran, but actually it's a separate entity. But I'm sure they'd be happy to hear feedback on that.
Of course. So, yeah, I will recommend everybody to take advantage of this new service provided by LexTran called LexRide. All right, we have very little time left. What else would you like to talk to us? Just one more thing.
Well, we do have the budget coming up. I know folks have been asking various questions about the budget and what things might be able to be in it. I do think it's going to be a really tight budget year. I think I mentioned that last time. I think that we might have a few asks and a few new things, but mostly the budget is going to be very static and not a growing budget. Which I haven't really seen that for a while. During COVID, we thought we were going to have like a $40 million shortfall. And in the end, we had extra money from the federal government that helped us balance our budget. But since then, we have had a lot of growth. Somebody asked me the other day, well, why? Why would the budget be so flat? Why would we not be growing like past years? And that's due to our projected revenue. Right. So we have somebody at UK that helps us project our revenue every year. We don't just randomly pick that number. And we base our budget and how much money we're going to spend on different things on that number, because we have to measure what is coming in. If we're not getting enough in, we can't pay for things. So this year, our revenue is projected lower, at a lower growth rate than the past few years. The past few years, it's just been kind of growing and growing. And this year, it's not. It's going to be lower than last year projected growth. So we don't know for sure until the end of the fiscal year, but we want to make sure that we're being smart and not outpacing our growth. So that is why I think it's going to be a tight year. The mayor's budget address is coming up in a few weeks in April. That will be her address of her budget, and then the council will get it and go from there.
Yes, I had forgotten how the budget works, even though you explain it to me every year.
It's a process. We'll break down into budget links. So groups of about 3 council members looking over all the pieces of the budget, and then we'll propose our budget.
All right. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. Thank you very much for being with us again. And why don't you tell us how to learn more about what council is doing and how to contact your office?
Yeah. So if you are interested in learning more about the council, you can go to lexingtonky.gov. And at any time, you can look up various things on the website. You can look up if you want to know who your council member is. You can also actually just Google that, and your council member will come up. And then there's a map, and you can put your address in, and you can find out who your council member is if you don't know. If you're interested in getting in touch with me, you can call my office at 859-280-8248, or you can email me at jreynolds@lexingtonky.gov. Also on social media on Facebook at Lexington's 11th.
Great. Well, thank you again for being with us again, and I'll see you next month for a new update.
I look forward to it. Thanks.
All right, and don't forget that you're listening to Media Lex Radio, WLXU 93.9 FM in Lexington, Kentucky.